Shalom. That was a greeting Jesus used with his disciples on the evening of the day of resurrection. It means so much more than just peace. It means help, every blessing, all prosperity, fullness of life. And with that, I welcome you to this series on the resurrection. The title of this presentation is Christianity's Dynamism. In this beautiful Coptic icon, we see the angels, material creation, women and men of both testaments being drawn to the risen Jesus. The Creator, the Father, in the mutuality of eternal self-emptying love, pours glory on the dead Jesus, raising him not just to life, but crowning the humanity of the Word with the glory of the God Self, bringing all of creation, as was the intent from the beginning, to share this deeper life, this glory, this love. This is the message of Christianity. We share belief in a personal God with Judaism, but they are still divided among themselves about whether there is life after death, and if so, what would that life be like?
Likewise, we share this belief in a personal God with Islam, but their concept of life after death is not as a radical transformation, and they do not believe that Jesus died, nor that he rose. In Hinduism, Buddhism, and to a certain extent Taoism, the motivating energy is toward altered states of consciousness, which allow an experience of being in communion with ultimate mystery or being enlightened. Hinduism has as its foundational experience the altered states of consciousness achieved by gurus over thousands of years. Buddhism, which arose out of the Hindu culture, is focused also on the mind. Its goal is to experience the enlightenment which the Buddha experienced and taught. Enlightenment is a state of altered consciousness in which the desires and fears that normally control our thinking are overcome and set aside. It is a form of acquired contemplation.
Both Hinduism and Buddhism strongly adhere to the concept of the wheel of life, that is, reincarnation, which is a belief that we repeatedly are incarnated again until we finally achieve escape from the wheel through enlightenment of mind and or altered states of consciousness.
The notion of living a series of many lives instead of just one, that is, getting to keep coming back, is at first appealing to some people. But deeper consideration shatters this illusion. Our present life is like the womb compared to life after death, which is birth into a new awareness and fulfillment. What child would want to be sent back into the womb with darkness, restriction of movement, and physical contact? Most persons who have had an after-death experience do not want to come back.
Christianity also has a very rich heritage of mysticism and spiritual experience, beginning with St. Paul and going on to climax in the 15th and 16th centuries. For Teresa of Avila, herself a great mystic, a doctor of the Church, and the cartographer of Christian mysticism, it was the risen Christ who remained the central focus of Christian mysticism.
This same point about the role of the humanity of the risen Christ is also made in the teachings of John of the Cross, the mystical doctor of the Church.
In Christian mysticism, the goal is never an altered state of consciousness in itself. While acquired contemplation is honored as a spiritual good, the goal of Christian mysticism is always to achieve, like Paul, a closer conformity with Jesus in his life, death, and resurrection, and through Jesus to acquire intimacy with the Trinity. The genuineness of Christian mystical experiences can be seen by the role of the risen Jesus in them. The focus of contemplation is the Trinity through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. There is really nothing in the spiritual realm that can compare with what the resurrection brings us. The personal transformation, the profound intimacy with God, eternal fulfillment and creativity. Bishop Barron expressed this in his comments on Peter Maurin and Peter's description of the resurrection of Christ as Christian dynamite. Here is some reading that I recommend, and also some questions that you might ask yourself or ask yourself and others in a small group. These are the credits for this particular presentation. Amen. Shalom.